Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be back. Great to see so many familiar faces. The fact that you continue to return boggles my mind. I'm really not that great a presenter, but hopefully you'll still learn something today as you have before. Once again, my name is Mark Rivera. I am the Education Manager and the Director of Latinx Affairs at Byte's Back. And today's topic, we are going to be exploring the wonderful world of LinkedIn. For those of you, I just want to take a quick poll. If you're on camera, and hopefully more of you will join on camera, how many of you have a LinkedIn account? Raise your hand. I see 3 persons. Oh, and out of the, Yvonne, do you have a LinkedIn account or is that just your thumb? I don't think you have a LinkedIn account. Nope. Okay. So the reason why we're exploring LinkedIn and job searches in general today is because it's really a very vital tool if you want to either change a job, if you have a job right now, or if you want to get a job. And so that's why we want to explore it. Now, let me just check the chat before we get started in earnest. Oh, thank you, Mandy. You're sweet. Checks in the mail to you, Mandy. And I just want to pull up the slides and start sharing with everyone. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And there's Yatsen. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I was going to pull up the LinkedIn page already to show y'all. So yes, today we're going to make the most of LinkedIn and help you with your job searches. We're going to, of course, tell you what LinkedIn is for those of you who've never heard of it or who've just been curious about it but never really explored it, and also how to get registered, how to navigate it, how to create a profile, which is really important. The job searches that you can do on LinkedIn, as well as join LinkedIn groups, which is a great feature that they have available. There's skills endorsements, the way that you get noticed. What is LinkedIn Pro, which is a paid service they offer. I'm always wary of paid services, so I want to make sure you have as much information as possible. And finally, how to get connected, right? How to really network and make the most out of LinkedIn. So in brief, what is LinkedIn? It's kind of like Facebook for professionals. Who's on Facebook? Raise your hand. Who's here? Who's on Facebook? I'm on Facebook. Vera, are you on Facebook? You can just give me a thumbs up if you're on Facebook. I hear you talking. Shirley raised her hand. Maybe that's to say yes, she's on Facebook, or maybe it's a question.
I'm on Facebook.
I see. I think a lot of us are on Facebook here now, right? I think we even, there's been a couple presentations on Facebook. And so when you think of Facebook, what is Facebook? It's what you show to the world. And typically speaking, what we show on Facebook is our personality, it's our likes, it's our hobbies. And that's kind of what LinkedIn is, but it's our likes and our hobbies professionally. It's what we are good at professionally, right? And so that's what you really want to project when you are using LinkedIn, when you join LinkedIn and you fill out your LinkedIn profile, right? It's all about professional development. It's all about professional connections, right? One thing to remember about LinkedIn also is the reason why we want to make sure that we're presenting ourselves professionally is because recruiters, a lot of job recruiters, use the platform to actually find potential hires. And so it's not just other people in business who are looking at your profile or who can look at your profile, it's also job recruiters. And so that's why it's vital that you present your best professional self. One thing that you can do on LinkedIn, or a couple things you can do on LinkedIn, if you have a resume, you can upload that resume. If you have posts that you want to talk about, blogs, ideas, you can post them as well. And you can also learn new skills on LinkedIn, which we will talk about in a little bit, right? Now, the most important thing for me, at least, is free. It's free, and I love free, and it's a great free service. And again, I mentioned earlier, there's a paid version of it, and we'll get to that and talk about what are those differences in the paid version, right? But ideally, when you sign up, you don't have to sign up for the paid version. We'll talk about that shortly. So that, in a nutshell, that's what LinkedIn is. And just to, we're going to go over this in a little bit. If you want to register, create a LinkedIn account, there's a couple of videos I'm sharing, and that I will share these links to you, right? But if you want to create an account on LinkedIn, you can just go to linkedin.com, right? And here it's actually pulling up, it's going to my journal page, and that's what it's pulling up, right? But if you want to just go and get started and play around while we're on here, go to linkedin.com/home, okay? And then there's a great tutorial video, which is basically going to say everything I'm saying. But don't get off. Don't just say, oh, I got the tutorial video. Take care. We're going to talk about some things a little bit more in depth than they do, but you will have access to this slide deck and this discussion later this week or next week at the latest. But let me just take you to LinkedIn Home really quick so you can see what exactly the landing page is. And apparently LinkedIn is not cooperating. They don't want to take you to their home page. They want to take you to my page because I'm still signed in. So that's okay. Now, when you get to LinkedIn, when you create your own account, there's a couple key tools that you're going to want to use to navigate, right? And I just want to show those to you in my own profile. So this is me with short hair and cleanly shaven. And this is my best professional self, I think, when it comes to a picture at least, right? In the background, you can also choose your own personalized picture, something that shows you and a little bit of who you are. This is me helping to fill up a hot air balloon. I don't own a hot air balloon. It's just a fun picture. I went on a hot air balloon once. I love it, right? But it's colorful, it's creative, and I like to think of myself as that way sometimes. But up here also are the key tools that you'll use to navigate LinkedIn. Home takes you to your LinkedIn overall area, right? So all the people you're connected with, all their stories, all the announcements, you can scroll here. You can also go to your own personal page. There's LinkedIn news that they offer and a couple of other features that we don't have to explore this moment. The other piece here, next piece, is your network, right? I have a lot of professional connections, 625 and counting, right? A lot of contacts, couple groups, couple pages, right? And these are all things that it's just a nice way to show you who you're connected to. So here are some possible connections I could make if I know them, if I want to reach out to them, I can connect. What does it mean when I say connect? That's a really good question, right? One thing it means is that they are now a direct connection, right? So it means that I can message them. I can say, hey, how's it going? You know, good to see you that you're on LinkedIn like me. Or I can ask them questions about where they work. I can ask them questions about how they're doing. Whatever it is, just when they're in your network, they are considered a connection, right? And we're going to talk about why that's important to have a lot of connections. Jobs, and we're going to go over this page shortly, but I just want to at least show it to you right now. Jobs is where you actually go to search for jobs, right? And we're going to do a deeper dive into that. Messaging, I already made reference to. This is where I can connect and send messages to some of my contacts. So this is a gentleman from Director of Client Services, RCG Talent Solutions. I don't even, it's an opportunity. So sometimes you'll get messages from LinkedIn themselves asking about job opportunities. Sometimes you get messages, so here's LinkedIn offer. They're saying, hey, join us for LinkedIn, paid subscription. This is from someone who is headhunting. This is from one of my contacts, right? Just saying, hey, let's connect on LinkedIn, right? And so these are the kinds of things you can do, and you can message one another and talk to one another. Then you have notifications, and notifications usually say, hey, one of your connections did something, or they said something, or they posted something. So in many ways, although it looks different, it's very similar to Facebook. People will post their stories. People will connect with you. You'll be able to message one another. So there's a lot of similarities to Facebook, and that's why we refer to it as Facebook for professionals. Any questions so far? You can either speak up or you can send a message in the chat. All right, going once, going twice, making my life a lot easier. Less questions you ask. Just kidding, I like to answer your questions. So when it comes to LinkedIn, right, these are the key pieces that we just explored. The home, your network, the jobs you can look for, messaging one another, and finally your own profile page, which, as you already saw, this is my profile page. We're going to go digging through it to show you how I present myself on this, digging more than just the pictures. So creating a LinkedIn profile, there's a couple key things to remember. It's very vast, the things you can do with it, but some of them are more limited. So for instance, you can create a headline, okay? And that headline can be a variety of things. And I've seen it used in a lot of different ways, a lot of creative ways. But for me, this is my headline. Here I am, that's my name, educator, researcher, optimist. You don't really have a lot to say here. And the reason you don't have a lot is because it's meant to be just like an advertisement, who you are in a nutshell, right? Other people will write a sentence, other people will write a lot of different descriptions of themselves. So it really depends just what you want to do and how you want to do it. So that's me, educator, researcher, optimist. And the other thing though is that you do have a limited number of characters to present yourself with that. But that's okay. You know why? Because if you scroll down, as I'm doing, there's a lot of things that are popping up that weren't here before. Scroll down and you see, oh, there's an about, and the about has a lot more details about me, right? I can say a lot more here than I could in this area. And then you say, oh, okay, well, tells me more about this person. And then you see, oh, the experience. I can list all my job experience or a little bit of my job experience. You can scroll down and you can see all the different things I've done, right? And it shows all 14 experiences that I have listed. We're not going to go through all of them, but they're there if anyone's interested in it. Education, the education, licenses and certifications, volunteering, skills, and recommendations, right? And I can show that to you later. But the fact is that there's a lot of things you can capture on here about yourself. Again, just like a Facebook page, put a little blurb, talk about yourself, and then you can show all your interests, right? But the professional interests and professional skills that you have. Ideally, when you create your profile though, when you're filling in these pieces, you want to talk about what your current job title is or a specific role you're seeking, something that you consider yourself. If you don't necessarily have a job right now, but you are really good at data analysis, you can say data analysis, right? Whatever you want to put out there. Same thing with keywords, right? You really want to focus on those hard skills. What are those things that you have done in the past? And you want to make sure that those are highlighted front and center. Something else you want to consider, and we've talked about this in the past, right? When we're talking about, okay, internet safety and professional communication, those kinds of things, you want to make sure that you're putting up a professional name and an email address, right? You want to make sure that the people see you, and if they're going to email you, they're like, hey, can I email you? That you're not using, as this joke makes, right? partycutie@hotmail.com or a nickname or one of your personal email addresses if your email address is something that's not really professional. You want to make sure that you're always presenting a professional self on LinkedIn, right? One other thing to note, and I know this might come as a shock to some of you. It was a shock to me, but I received a valuable piece of information. Someone said to me, if you're going to share your email address, make sure that that email address is not like an AOL address. And I said, hey, what's wrong with that? And they said, AOL, although there's plenty of people out there who still have AOL email accounts because that was one of the first email pioneers out there, they're considered old, right? So if you want to make yourself seem a little younger, seem a little more with it, make sure you get a Yahoo account or a Gmail account or a Hotmail account. Just don't have an AOL account. So I'm just going to put that out there right now. So what about else is important on your LinkedIn profile? Well, if you recall, I used a very clean-cut professional picture of myself. And the reason I did that, now I do look like this. I would like to think that I still look like this, right? So it's not that different. I just have longer hair. The important thing though, is that you want to make sure it is something like a professional headshot. It doesn't have to be an actual professional headshot. I'm not recommending you go and spend a couple $100s to get a headshot. Don't need to do that. You can get a great shot with a smartphone and be able to upload it. I just want to make sure that, or you want to make sure rather, that the picture you present, A, it looks like you, right? You don't want a picture from 10, 20, 30 years ago. And that B, it does present you at looking professional, right? You don't want to have this, well, it's up to you, but ideally you want it to be your face, right? You don't want to have a picture of you water skiing on your profile picture. Unless you're applying for a water skiing job, then maybe you want a water skiing picture. But first impressions are everything, so it's important that we present our best self, always. Now, Here's the thing that's really key about LinkedIn, right? What is the value of having all these connections? What is the value of even having a LinkedIn page to begin with? And that is job searches. So here's another video that we're not going to go through, but you will have access to when you receive these slides. But I'm going to take you to the jobs page. I'm going to show you what that looks like and why it's so valuable. So right now, already, I'm at the jobs page. It's going to give you suggested job searches right off the bat, right? And this is just based on what you've listed yourself as, what's in your resume. It has an algorithm that says, okay, these are your experiences. We're going to suggest things based on those experiences. But if I click out of that, now look up here. Look at the top of my screen. It says search by title, skill, right? City, state. I can filter what I'm looking for. So let's say here, someone give me a job. What's a job type? Give me any job type. Someone yell it out. Come on, don't be shy. Give me a job to search for.
Let's go with paralegal.
Paralegal, great idea. Okay, paralegal. Here we go. We're gonna go with paralegal. And we're gonna narrow the search specifically to, guess where? Washington, DC, Baltimore area. Let's just go with Washington, DC and Baltimore area. Let's keep it a little broader, right? And immediately, what do I see? What pops up? Paralegal in Washington, DC. There's 2,500 results right now. 2,500, okay? But now I can narrow that down even more. How recent are these ads? Okay, well, let's just look at all the jobs from the past week. And why do I want to look at all the jobs from the past week versus the past month or any time? Well, typically speaking, the ones that have only been up for a week, you still have time to apply to. If they've been up for a month or longer, they probably are already narrowing down the field. They probably already have their candidates. They're scheduling interviews. So you want to be up to speed, right? So you want to see what's left. So now by saying from the past week, that 2,500 is now 679 results. Now we get to select our experience level. What's the kind of level of experience that we're looking for when it comes to being a paralegal? Let's just say mid-senior level. All right. Look at that. Now there's only 63 results. Okay. Company. You could look for a company or you could just leave it open. Job type, full-time or contract. Let's look for a full-time. See what that does. Now it's narrowed down even more, 57 results. On-site or remote. This is key. This is a new piece that was created during the pandemic. This basically says, do you want to work remote? Do you want a hybrid job where you can go in or work remote, or do you want to be on site, right? And that's really important for people now. That needs to be, that's an option that a lot of people really do value. And it's actually resulted in a lot of people changing jobs. So let's just select, we're going to look for remote. And now that narrows the field down even more. 15 paralegals where I can work remotely. I'm at a mid-senior level and they have been posted in the past week, right? That's amazing, right? All of this narrows the field. Now there's one thing I want to show you that I think is critical too. So typically speaking, let's say I wanted to work for a real estate paralegal at Link Logistics, right? I could press apply and usually it will take me outside of, it'll take me to another link directly here. Or in some cases, when you see this easy apply button, let's see if there's any easy apply. I don't think there's any easy apply. Let's go back one. I'm just gonna change this to show you.
Mark, when it takes you to an outside link, does it take you directly to the company's
Yes.
application website or?
Yes, most of the time it will take you to the company's websites. When you see this easy apply button, that's what I wanted to show you, this easy apply button, which I'm going to click on. You can apply within LinkedIn, right? And so you submit your information and then you go to the next page and then it'll say, okay, is this the resume? If you already have your resume up. And sometimes I'll ask for, a couple of questions about yourself, and then that's it. Easy apply means you get to apply within LinkedIn. Basically, all the information you've already put there will be uploaded into whatever the application is for that company, right? So it's a great feature because it does the work for you when you can do easy apply. What was that, Vera?
No, I was just nodding. That was easy because you don't have to retype everything.
Exactly.
It's already there.
Exactly. If you got your resume, you got that stuff in LinkedIn, you don't have to retype it. And that's why I love LinkedIn for that reason, right? You don't have to upload anything. It does all the legwork for you. But like I said, sometimes I'll ask you questions just to confirm that you're the right fit, but they're usually very short questions, right? One thing I do want to point out though, and this is also important when it comes to LinkedIn, in some cases, they will ask you to upload a cover letter because cover letters aren't standard. Cover letters, are usually cater to the position you're applying for. So just be aware, some easy applies will say, okay, you got everything, we got everything we need. Just give us a cover letter in this paragraph, right? It doesn't happen all the time, but just be prepared for it if you ever want to apply for a job that way. And that's no biggie. You just go, you type a couple things and you upload it. But this is really key. I love this because you can really see everything that you want, everything that you need, right? And if I click on all filters, I can just go through and see everything I want to see, just like we just looked at, right? Industry, job function, there's so many more filters. Under 10 applicants, right? That's an interesting one. That means basically, oh, is it a big pool of candidates or is it a small pool of candidates? If it's a small pool, you'll have a better chance of getting selected, right? Also, what's your salaries? Not everyone posts their salary, but if you want to filter out things more, if you want to go for those big bucks, look at that, man, beyond 200K, whew. Maybe some jobs have that out there. And also benefits. Benefits are very important to a lot of people. And so usually a lot of these jobs will say, we've got medical, we offer dental, we have paid paternity leave. They will list those things. So those are things that are important to you. Go for it and select it. So just something to consider when it comes to the jobs feature. Endorsements are another neat thing of LinkedIn, right? And so when I say endorsements, that's exactly what it is. Is it somebody in your professional network saying, I verify that Vera really knows about being a paralegal, or I verify that Mark really knows about teaching, or I verify, they're basically saying they are vouching for you. They're saying, I have either worked with this person or I know this person closely, and I vouch for this particular skill that they are mentioning, right? So let me show you where those endorsements are. So here we are. Let's go back to my homepage. I'm going to reset all of this just so I erase it. I don't want LinkedIn thinking I'm looking for a job. And we can go to my profile. Now, when you scroll down, one of those items that you saw was endorsements, right? Activity, experience, education, and here we have my skills, right? And I have listed a lot of skills. Why? Why not? If I have the skills, let me list them, right? Show off. It is meant to be a place to show off. It's meant to be a place that you share what you can offer. And so going through the more, it's kind of like, remember, again, like Facebook, you can mark as many likes as you want on Facebook. You can have 1 like, you can have 10 likes, you can have 100 likes, you can have 0 likes. Same thing in LinkedIn. You can mark off as many skills as you believe you have. But here is where it is important. Sometimes people will endorse you. Sometimes they won't. There's a lot of things that technically speaking, I have skills in, but you see these numbers here, not everyone has endorsed me. In some cases, not anyone has endorsed me because they don't know I'm really great with PowerPoint or Outlook or student engagement, right? But teaching, 15 of my friends and colleagues have endorsed me, right? Community outreach, nonprofits, higher education, 40 people have endorsed me for that. And so this is important. It's kind of like a way for people to say that you do and can do what you want to do. Now, if you want people to endorse you, typically speaking, you have to reach out to them, right?
Okay.
Say, please endorse me for this skill, or please endorse me for that skill, right? And sometimes LinkedIn will do it automatically. They'll say, can you endorse this person? They say they're good at this and you know them. But if you really want to boost that number of endorsements, reach out to people. The other thing I will say about endorsements is that when you're starting out, although you can mark off a lot of different things, it's better to just have a couple and then to send them to your network. So to say, I'm really good at these 5 things, and then to send them to everyone in your network, because most likely everyone in your network will immediately say, yeah, stamp of approval. They are good at that, right? And then build up those other pieces as you go along. In the beginning, that's my recommendation. But you don't have to go. You can go on and mark as many skills as you want to right off the bat. But that's a cool.
Mark, do they
Yes.
respond in writing to the
Sometimes they do. So here is a recommendation, right? Here are some recommendations I have made and other people have made for me. So recommendations given, recommendations that I have shared with other companies.
Okay.
Right? And sometimes people will share those recommendations on your behalf as well. So, yeah.
This woman would do anything to get what she wants, even posing as Sarah.
As a reminder, let's keep ourselves muted while we are.
Yeah, I mean, surely you remember when Sarah came back to town a while back to reject you.
Screen on.
Well, according to the
If I can mute.
mask.
There we go. All right, thanks for your patience. So, other things about LinkedIn that are cool to see, not just cool, but useful. LinkedIn groups. One of the best things about LinkedIn groups is that you can immediately increase your network by joining a group, right? You don't just have to rely, let's say, you know, some of your friends and colleagues are themselves now, you know, have been out of a job for a while. They're retired, semi-retired, what have you. Well, you don't have to rely on them and their network to help you find a job or their recommendation. You can simply type in LinkedIn and say, oh, I'm interested in a group. So what group are you interested in? Washington, DC. Oh, sorry, these are all the people in Washington, DC. Okay, so Washington, DC. People, companies, jobs, events, groups, posts, schools, courses, services. All of these are different categories. The one I'm interested in is groups. So I click on groups and suddenly, wow, look at all these groups for Washington, DC that comes up. UVA members, just Washington, DC connections in general, American Marketing Association, and you can filter these out. You can make them as specific as you want to be to see if there are groups, right? So let's say I say Washington, DC, let's go back to paralegal. National Capital Area Paralegal Association. Suddenly, wow, now there's a group specifically for paralegals that has 1,800 members, 1,800 members approximately, right? And let's click on it and see what they're all about. About this group, National Capital Area Paralegal Association, professional association for paralegals living and working in Washington, D.C. That sounds pretty specific to me and pretty relevant to me of what you're looking for as a paralegal. And there's all sorts of groups like that here that you can look for. There's all sorts of groups that you can join. And that's really critical because if you're trying to get back into the swing of things, if you're trying to change a job or find a new job, or maybe you've been out of the network for a while, these are really great places to start. And just to post a message and say, hey, I'm new to the group. I'm trying to find a job in XYZ. Can you help out? And usually people are really nice on LinkedIn. You'll get at least one response, if not multiple responses. And that can be a really, really big help. So groups are a great way to maximize your LinkedIn use. Another thing that's really cool about your network, and I'm going to accept, this is great. Thank you, Mandy. So Mandy, one of our attendees right now messaged me and said she would like to connect. And I'm going to say yes. So you can ignore and accept. And this is actually a really key piece that I wasn't planning on speaking about. When people find you, they can send you a message to also invite you, just like Facebook. They say, hey, do you want to be my friend? Not really the same thing. Hey, do you want to be my contact on LinkedIn, right? You can ignore it or you can accept it, just like on Facebook, right? Because sometimes people will reach out to you and you'll say, I have no idea who this person is. That's happened to me plenty of times. And I will ignore it because, it just isn't very clear. And in some cases, some people are phishing. They're trying to expand their network, or they're trying to find a job opportunity, or they're phishing, right? Really, if you want to expand your network in a safe way, in a smart way, start off by only with people you know, and for the most part, only connect with people you know or you've met before, right? So I'm not going to ignore you, Mandy. I'm accepting your invitation, which is great. But now, because Mandy's one of my contacts, if I want to, I'm not going to do this to you, Mandy. I can click on her profile and I can see her profile and everything she has. So let me go to my contacts, or not my contacts. Let me go to my connections and click on another connection of mine, right? So here is my colleague, Kim Thornburg, who also works at Byte back with me. This is her profile. Great, great screenshot, or not screenshot, profile picture, tells about herself. There's her, head of development. And then we can scroll through all of her things, and you see she also has her education, volunteering, and look at her skills. She's got other pieces, right? And so this is just showing you what you have. The other cool thing though about Facebook is that, let's say, because Kim, right, her school is listed. And for her school education, University of Kansas, she went to. If I want to, let's say, find a job at the University of Kansas, I can talk to Kim about it, or I can talk to other people, right? Usually what will happen is it will tell you if you have a primary contact or a secondary contact working at a place. So let's say I was interested in working at APLU, which actually I'm cheating because I did work at APLU one time. But it says, oh, look, I have 6 connections who have worked at APLU, right? And so now let's say I'm like, oh, hey, Jess, I'm interested in the job at APLU. Can we talk about it? I can message them, right? Or let's say I'm looking for a job. I'm wondering, White House. Do I know anyone who ever worked at the White House? Let's see. Apparently, I have some secondary connections. So what does that mean? Second, it means I don't know the person, but a friend of mine knows the person who's currently working at the White House. So my friend, my colleague, Lola, knows Melody. And maybe I can now ask Lola or Emmanuel or other people who are connected to Melody to introduce me to Melody so I can find out about that job. So that's another great feature. Not just a matter of groups, it's also you can look at your personal connections to these places. Any questions about that? No questions? All right, we'll keep moving. So I mentioned this earlier. LinkedIn has some paid subscription options, 2 in particular, right, that I want to talk about. LinkedIn Pro. LinkedIn Pro is LinkedIn's way of saying, hey, let's make yourself even more competitive. Let's make yourself even more strategic, right? And the way they do that is that they incentivize you. They say, if anyone's looking at your profile, we're going to tell you exactly who it is. So let's say there is a headhunter there. Let's say there is a job seeker out there who says, I'm looking for the skills that you have, and I just looked at your profile. Well, now you can also connect with them. You can respond and say, oh, I saw that you looked at my profile. I like what you're selling, or I like, the company that you work for. Can we have a conversation, right? Another thing that they do is that it's easier to connect with people you're not already connected with. So technically speaking, in LinkedIn, you can't message people that you aren't already connected with. You can send them an invite to connect, but only after they accept it, then you can actually message them. Not so with LinkedIn Pro. With LinkedIn Pro, you have a set number of messages you can send and just say, hi, I would like to introduce myself. My name is so-and-so. I work for so-and-so. This is what I would like to do, right? So you have that option, right? So it kind of gives you a little bit of an advantage there, the fact that you can actually message that person directly without having to go through the red tape of having them approve you beforehand. I wouldn't necessarily recommend LinkedIn Pro for everyone. I don't necessarily think it's the most helpful tool for all people who are looking for a job. For one thing, it costs money. And let's say you get a job and you forget to turn off their automatic payments, you're going to get charged roughly $30 a month. So that's one reason why it's not so good. Another reason it's not so good is that LinkedIn, I would say, is better for full-time jobs, not necessarily part-time jobs. And so I don't think it's worth the investment if you're looking for a part-time job. And one more thing though, in addition to LinkedIn Pro, there's also these trainings that are offered by Microsoft Office. Now they used to be free, and then Microsoft said, you know what, and technically speaking, they still can be free if you have start a month-long trial, right? Start my free month. And what they are, a lot of them are a lot of different courses. You can have courses on Excel, you can have courses on Word, CompTIA Network Plus courses. You can also, Google offers courses, Adobe, there's lots of courses here, and LinkedIn courses too, that usually deal with soft skills, professional skills. So a lot of different options. The issue though, is that, like I said, you have to pay for it, right? You don't always want to have to pay for those things. So it really is up to you. I will say this, the Microsoft courses, when I was looking into it for our own scholars at Byte back, I did like them. They were good courses. They're videos, so you can't really respond. They do have some quiz prompts, so at least they can verify your learning and make sure that you're advancing properly. And so, if you want to go in and you want to look at these courses and see what it's like for a month without having to pay, you can do so by clicking on the Start My Free Month option. But if you don't really find value in it, don't forget to log out. Don't forget to say, okay, I'm done. I don't really need these identifying value, because otherwise you'll get charged. And I don't want you to have to pay money for something that's not serving you. So we are not going to be creating accounts right now, right? That's a great activity to do, especially when we have a classroom full of persons. But I do think you should create an account as soon as possible if you want it. Like I said, if you want to change jobs or you want to start a new job, right? And so the best place to do that, of course, is linkedin.com/home to create that account. And there's a great tutorial on what to do. I will say this, when it comes to LinkedIn, a lot of it really is uploading stuff. It really is kind of like, okay, here's the file I have, and I'm going to upload it. Here's my picture file. I upload the picture. Here's this picture. I upload the picture. Here's my resume. I upload my resume and it populates into LinkedIn, right? Other things you do have to edit yourself, right? So when it comes to education, it didn't pull this from my resume. You're going to have to go in and say, okay, I went to this institution or this institution or this institution, right? Or I'm going to add a new institution, right? And let's say it gives you the example of Boston University. And usually what we'll do is it will populate it, and it makes it a little easier for you. Boston University, Boston College, Boston City Campus, Boston College Law School. So it does some of the work for you. So you don't have to do everything. So even when you can't upload stuff, it still helps you out to find it. But it makes it a lot more user-friendly knowing that it's there, knowing that you have the option and you don't have to necessarily upload everything you want to say. The other thing that's really nice about LinkedIn is that they do list most places. So for instance, once upon a time in DC, I did mentor for Best Kids. I really enjoyed that volunteer experience, and they have them on file. And so I was happy when I saw that they had them on file. Most organizations, let's say you volunteer at Martha's Table or So Others Might Eat or Bread for the City, they will have those on there. Let's say that you worked for, X number of companies, they will most likely have those on there as well. So I don't be surprised if you find a really obscure place or person that you work for. Almost certainly it's going to be on there because they're a very, very big powerful website, and they have a lot of places listed already. Let me skip down here. And that is pretty much LinkedIn in a nutshell. Any questions?
Mark, I've resisted from uploading my resume and instead just populated all the fields. And the reason I resisted is I worried that I guess anybody can just, I think how it works is you could just click on it and then your whole life is exposed to just anybody as opposed to you being able to choose who gets to see it. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do I protect that information?
I think that's a fair concern. And I think, many of us are worried about information sharing, right, Mandy? We want to make sure that we are not sharing anything that could expose us to ransomware attacks, that could expose us to fraud attacks, that could expose us, right? Your resume, I think for me at least, is not that private of information. Whether you list it on your LinkedIn page or you have it also separately, for me at least, when I was applying to jobs, it just was more convenient to have it uploaded directly. And also, I don't know about you, let me put it to you this way. For me, I have a variety of different jobs, right? They're all in education, but it's a variety of jobs all across the board, right, over the years. And so for that reason, I want to highlight that. I want people to be able to come into my page and say, oh, he did this and he did that and he did this, which they wouldn't be able to see right off the bat. They wouldn't know it if they didn't see my resume. But if you've spent your entire life in one single kind of job or single kind of career, maybe you don't have to list them all, right? Maybe you just list one or two things or your most recent things, right? A lot of people will only list their most recent one or two jobs anyway, their current job and the job before, right? I just wanted it up there to show that breadth of experience. And I think that that's a good strategy for it's kind of like similar to when you actually submit a paper resume. For anyone who remembers submitting a paper resume, where even if you have 10 pages worth of experiences, you're supposed to boil it down to 2 to 3 pages, right? And so it's that same kind of idea where you don't have to overwhelm them. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Other questions about LinkedIn or job searches or job applications in general? Gloria, are you raising your hand? You just got to unmute it. I don't see any questions in the chat room. Are there any questions from the board? Speak up. If you're muted, please unmute. I'm here to talk about the job search. And like I said, LinkedIn isn't necessarily the best tool for all jobs, but it's a great tool for a lot of jobs. Some of you might also say, oh, well, what about Indeed? Indeed's another good tool, very common job search site. Monster.com is another job search site. But LinkedIn is kind of like the professional equivalent of a handshake. Other questions? Wow, no questions. Okay, this is what I'm going to recommend one more time. When we get off this call, I highly suggest, for those of you who don't already have a LinkedIn account, go register and create a LinkedIn account by going to linkedin.com/home. linkedin.com/home. www.linkedin.com/home. As well as watching this tutorial. If you go to YouTube, and I'm going to skip this in a second, which is an ad. This great video by Tech Boomers, how to sign up for LinkedIn and fill in your profile. Because basically they will show you all the steps I just showed you, but they'll give you a little more detail. They'll walk you through it step by step, and it's just a great resource to have. So Tech Boomers, how to sign up for LinkedIn and fill in your profile. That's where that link will take you to. Any other questions, thoughts, suggestions? I know I'm not the only, I know I'm not the only person out there who's ever had to get a new job. So if you want to share some advice before we get going, now's the time. Going once, going twice. Diane, I love that turtle in the background.
Thank you.
You are
She's
welcome.
big.
It's
Big.
adorable. You should create a LinkedIn profile for that turtle. I'm sure he'll get hired
Oh,
quickly.
okay. Well, there's two of them in there. One is a soft shell and the other one is a hard shell.
I gotcha.
That's it.
All right, everyone. So if there's no questions or no thoughts or suggestions, please, like I said, we're gonna leave early. Go create that LinkedIn accounts. You should try to get connected with one another. Try to get connected with your friends, with your colleagues, and let me know if you have any follow-up questions. Otherwise, you will be getting the slide deck and a link to this video by next week.
Okay, and this is linkedin.com.
Excuse me?
Contact. LinkedIn.com
/home. LinkedIn.com
/home.
/home. Yeah. You can also go to LinkedIn.com. It might take you to the exact same place. LinkedIn.com.
Okay.
For me, it takes me to it just redirects me to my page, so I can't show you.
/home.
Sorry about that.
I have one other question.
Sure,
You
Vera.
suggested if we have an AOL
Email account.
email account to change it because it definitely is old. So once I change it, how would other people link me in that have the old? Is there a way that I can do it and
Yes.
have
Yeah.
them to follow with the new account?
So
Like on this?
that's a great question. What LinkedIn.com will do. And let me share my screen one more time. I think I wasn't sharing. So I wasn't sharing my screen when I went to that great Tech Boomers page. So here's the Tech Boomers, how to sign up for LinkedIn, fill in your profile. That's the video I recommended. But if we go to my LinkedIn page again, I think this is popping up. Oh, here we go. Yeah. We go to my LinkedIn page again. Let's go to, where is it? My network. Let's go to contacts. These are contacts that have been uploaded from my emails.
Mhm.
All of these contacts have been uploaded from emails. So if you join LinkedIn, you can join in the beginning with your AOL account, and it'll say, would you like LinkedIn to upload all of your AOL contacts? And you say yes. Any of those contacts are already a member of LinkedIn. They hit a hit. It will immediately say, would you like to connect to this person? That's a great resource. I'm glad that you brought that up. It makes it super easy to immediately connect with people you know. You don't even have to do the hunting. LinkedIn will do it for you when you join. Or if you have a Gmail account, or if you have a Yahoo account or a Hotmail account, it will say, would you like to import these contacts? And if you say yes, it says, hey, we made X amount of hits with your friends or family. Would you like to connect with them now? And you can say yes, and it sends them an invite, just like Facebook.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Because
Sure.
I have two emails, and that's Gmail, but my old one that most of my friends
Contacts are
have
on.
is AOL, even though
So
I have
you can
Gmail.
have that. You can have them access to the contacts from AOL as well as from Gmail. It's not just limited to one.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Great question. All right, everyone. Thank you for a great session. Thanks for listening so patiently. If you do have follow-up questions, please let me know. And I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, have a great week, a great weekend. And I look forward to sharing these slides and this video recording with you soon. Take care, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Thank you.